Yeah, so we're curious how everybody feels about. I know some people in chat have been playing a lot of Final Fantasy in various games, and how people feel about the Final Fantasy 16 not being turn-based. Because Yoshi P here did this article. Well, did this interview, I guess. He didn't write the article.
Correct.
But he's like, I'm from a generation that grew up with command and turn-based RPGs. I think I understand how interesting and immersive can be. On the other hand, for the past decade or so, I've been seen quite a number of opinions saying I don't understand the attraction of selecting commands in video games. This opinion is only increasing, particularly with younger audiences who do not typically play RPGs. How do you feel about that, babe? Because you've played a lot of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been turn-based since Final Fantasy X, with the exception of World of Final Fantasy, which wasn't a mainline series game. Hey, Hobbit, thank you. Karen, welcome in. We'll get to those things in just a second. So yeah, besides World of Final Fantasy, it hasn't been turn-based in quite a while. I think
like
it's
selecting actions, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think if they can refine it a little bit more than 15, because 15 had good action combat. It had decent action combat. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. If they can refine it, something akin to Final Fantasy VII Remake without the action selecting, I guess that's fine. I think Final Fantasy has always changed it up with every game. They're constantly evolving the combat, the gameplay.
That was weird. What was that? 22 months.
Almost 2 years, dude.
Holy moly.
Let's
Hi,
put that name in the box. We're just talking Final Fantasy 16 before we do Hobbit's Would You Rather card.
Yeah.
But I think there's games out there that still do the turn-based thing. Like Dragon Quest is a classic JRPG series, slightly older than Final Fantasy, and still sticks to the turn-based formula. And they do it well. People like it. I'll always get the new Dragon Quest game because I love it. So Final Fantasy is the other direction. They were that classic JRPG series that decided to change. They evolved with the ATB system. They evolved again, with Final Fantasy XII. They're constantly trying new things. Yoshi P's got a great track record with Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm excited to see him. He's only producing. He's not directing 16, but I am curious to see where he goes with that. And I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm curious to see it. We don't know. We don't know that much. We've seen a little bit of battle, but we haven't seen how it works.
Yeah. So I didn't play RPGs as a kid. I played like Mario games and stuff. So to me, it's been interesting playing those games and like cool to go back in time as I'm playing through the Final Fantasy series now on a turn-based system. But I totally prefer the action. Like it, I want to swing a sword. I don't want to push a button 6 times to choose my actions at all. And then he said RPGs originated with tabletop RPGs, and it's just been an evolution from that, so it just needs to keep evolving, essentially. And I don't know, do you think Dragon Quest staying on turn-based is keeping younger audiences from playing it?
I mean, Dragon Quest XI was the biggest game they've ever had, so they still reach a broad audience.
Okay.
There's still plenty of games out there that still cater to the turn-based formula, but I think if Final Fantasy went back to turn-based, I think people would feel a little bit more irked about it. Dragon Quest has always kept the turn-based formula, and I think that's why it works for them. They haven't strayed from it. It would feel like a regression for Final Fantasy. I think people would be more bothered. Yeah,
and wait, how does Dragon Quest have? Dragon Quest still keeps kind of like more retro like graphics, right?
No, the last game was fully 3D.
But like Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 15?
No, it was still, I think, cell shaded graphics. They even did a pixel version of the game. They designed a whole other version of the game that was pixel graphics.
Because that was part of Yoshi P's argument, was that as Final Fantasy's graphics are evolving, they can't stay on that system.
Yeah.
So, like, their specific graphics are catering to an action-based crowd.
I can understand that. With the realism, I think the turn-based gameplay battle combat style might feel a little odd, but then again, I guess it all comes down to the design. We'd have to see it play out,
VR RPGs when?
I am so excited. Look at that VR MMO. That I feel like is a step in a really big direction for VR games.
Indeed.
But is that everything you wanted to touch on?
Yeah. I just saw the article and was curious.
We just wanted
What
to chat
everybody
a little bit about this Final Fantasy news.